We are live now.
Perfect. We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Botanix SpiderHacks opening ceremony. Super excited to kick it off with Willem from Botanix Lab. Hey, Willem. And just to put it out to everyone, this is one of the first Bitcoin EVM hackathon that we are leading, and super excited for that. Super excited to step in the space, see how it all builds. I would love to sort of give everyone a rundown on Botanix, and then I'll pass it on to Willem. I'll deep into it more. So, Botanix basically makes innovation on Bitcoin easy with the first EVM L2 on Bitcoin, which is called the Spiderchain. DeFi on EVM is pretty advanced, is going places, but it's sad that it's the same is not happening, and we're not able to mirror the same on Bitcoin. That is what the Spiderchain aims to change. And yeah, Willen, happy to pass it on to you. Please feel free to talk about what the aim of the hackathon is, what kind of projects you're expecting, and post that I will be happy to take everyone over the submission requirements, what to build, what to submit, and a brief demo of the hackathon page itself.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'll start with a quick intro. Well, first of all, very excited about the SpiderHack and the hackathon. Very excited to see what people come up with. Like, this is really a game changer. Now suddenly you can very easily build on Bitcoin. And we all know Bitcoin is a massive capital pool, and there's a lot of sleeping capital waiting for some applications. So looking forward to what people build. But I'll start with a short intro, and then why we're building Botanix, what the vision and the thesis is. And then explain a little bit about the technology of the Spiderchain, because that's really the game changer here. So Willem grew up in Belgium, got a little bit of a mathematics background, then ended up doing electrical engineering in bachelor's and master's, where I focused on cryptography, so researched in authenticated encryption. Actually, some of my learnings from my cryptography period went into the Spiderchain. Then broke some algorithms in encryption there, presented on cryptography conferences. Then ended up actually saw Bitcoin already in my cryptography classes, but didn't fully see the macro picture yet. But then ended up working in chemicals, lived 2 years in Saudi Arabia, saw hyperinflation happening in Lebanon, and basically, realized that this is a game changer for billions of people in the world. And then basically I applied to the Harvard Business School, so did my MBA there, moved to Boston, and that's where I formed the thesis for Botanix, which is now a year and a half ago. And that thesis is fully playing out. And the thesis is the following. Basically, a year and a half ago, what you saw happening is you had Bitcoin, pure, decentralized, secure money, but almost zero utility on top of it. Considered store of value, but almost zero utility. And then outside of Bitcoin, you basically had a huge amount of applications, huge amount of dApps being created, huge amount of value and utility, and they're all built on what you call virtual machines. And so on the one hand, you had Bitcoin, perfect money, but then all the applications built on virtual machines, and we consider the virtual machines more like a software layer. And that follows the rules and the principles of software technology battles. And when you think about Windows in the 80s, one of the reasons it won out was not because it was the best technology or the most secure, but the biggest distribution. Windows had by far the biggest distribution. And so we compared it a little bit with the EVM. The EVM might not be the best virtual machine, might not be the most secure, but it has by far the biggest distribution. If you think about the tools, the libraries, anything that's available today to build on the EVM is absolutely massive. And so you had Bitcoin, biggest capital pool, and now the EVM, the biggest virtual machine to build applications. And we're bringing them basically together. So first 6 months after having the idea for a second layer EVM on Bitcoin was spent on the cryptography. So we went quite deep in looking at all different layer 2 designs and roll-ups. And we came up with what's now called the Spiderchain. And the Spiderchain separates itself because we're capable to be fully decentralized. So it's a fully decentralized layer 2 where anyone will be able to run a full node, anyone will be able to participate, and that's a quite differentiation compared to rollups, which are classically a central party running the whole chain, which gives a lot of different issues like data availability, etc. But basically, in essence, the Spiderchain is a fully decentralized layer 2. And I can go a little bit more into the technology, and I might share my screen here a little bit. So I think, let me see if I can share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Yes, now I can.
Perfect.
Yes, now I can.
Basically, the longer term vision, when we're really working towards, when you're thinking 100 years ahead and you're running a whole world on Bitcoin, on a Bitcoin standard, and you want to onboard 7 billion people, there needs to be a huge amount of infrastructure that needs to be built. And so you have Bitcoin on the base layer, 10-minute blocks, very secure, very decentralized. And then basically what we're doing in Botanix is more like almost literally building an Ethereum on Bitcoin. We use a proof of stake consensus where you stake Bitcoin on Bitcoin, and that secures the second layer. So 10-minute blocks on the base layer, way faster blocks, way cheaper blocks on the layer 2. And this can really power a whole world running on Bitcoin. And that's really what we're working towards. This can actually be an infrastructure that runs the whole world on Bitcoin. And just to reconfirm the thesis, we believe EVM is the winning virtual machine. We believe Bitcoin is really the winning money. I think today it became $1 trillion market, so there's a huge amount of capital waiting for applications. And now I want to talk a little bit on how we're actually building it in the Spiderchain, because that's a differentiator. I think there's a lot of layer 2 EVMs on Bitcoin, or at least a lot of people that have announced over the last 2 months. I think we're the only ones with a fully working end-to-end testnet that's fully equivalent and has a technology that's capable to be fully decentralized. And that's the Spiderchain. And let me quickly explain to you how the Spiderchain works and how we actually fully decentralize the layer 2. So for the more technical people out here, they might be familiar with the Lightning Network. When you think about the Lightning Network on Bitcoin, it's very decentralized. And if you strip it down to the core, what it makes decentralized is that if you open a channel, you open a 2 out of 2 multisig. When you open another channel on the Lightning Network, that's another 2 out of 2 multisig. And so after a while, you have this decentralized network of 2 out of 2 multisigs. And that's the basis for the Spiderchain. So let's park the Lightning Network for a moment, but then think the similar model, but then bigger. Like a lot of the Ethereum rollups have a central multisig or a central smart contract with admin keys, and that's what we want to decentralize. And so when you think about the Spiderchain, we run a proof of stake where you stake Bitcoin. And so at some point you can have 10,000 different people, 10,000 different nodes, all running a full node, all participating in the network, building blocks and participate in the multisig network. And so if you have 10,000 different stakers, for multisig 1, you will randomly choose 100 participants out of 10,000 different stakers, and they will secure multisig 1. And then you do that again for multisig 2. You again choose 100 random participants out of 10,000 different stakers, and they will secure multisig 2. And then you do that again for multisig 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And after a while, you have this decentralized network of multisigs where anyone can participate in, where anyone can have a part of the multisig key set and actually run a full node. That's where the actual Bitcoin will reside in. And that proof of stake, or where we use Bitcoin staking, also secures the EVM. So that's how you actually fully decentralize the layer 2. Now, this whole thing is fully running on Bitcoin. So you'll have Bitcoin as gas fees. You'll have the stakers that will accrue back the gas fees and the transaction fees. So if you run a full Botanix node now, by staking Bitcoin, you can actually start earning native Bitcoin yields coming from those gas fees and transaction fees that you have on the second layer. And that's really the game changer here. The Spiderchain is this decentralized network of multisigs. So a little bit on the key design features. We run a full equivalent EVM, and that's massive. That means you can take any smart contract you have on Ethereum, you can copy paste that smart contract code and deploy it on Botanix, and the whole thing will run on Bitcoin. Another very interesting feature is we know how hard it is to do soft forks in Bitcoin. This Spiderchain is fully capable to run on the current Bitcoin Core implementation because it is this decentralized network of multisigs. And we secure it by Bitcoin staking and a proof of stake consensus, which also means if you introduce a new consensus, think about an eigenlayer. The best comparison is probably an eigenlayer on Bitcoin. That proof of stake consensus basically also means we don't, the data availability or the data stays on the second layer, and we don't need to post it back to Bitcoin. This results in extremely cheap gas fees. So we expect the gas fees to be cheaper than the Lightning Network and very fast or faster block times, a little bit faster than Ethereum. And so that's how you scale the whole of Bitcoin, from Bitcoin on the base layer, extremely decentralized, to Botanix on the second layer, a little bit less decentralized, but still very decentralized, more like your Ethereum, basically. And then you can have roll-ups, etc., even go with faster block times. And this basically is very important for the people building here. I think in terms of layer 2 EVM, this will be an actually decentralized, fully equivalent EVM. So it becomes super easy to deploy your Ethereum dApps on Botanix and access natively that big Bitcoin capital pool. Right now, there's so many Bitcoin capital just waiting for dApps to be deployed, waiting for applications to be used. And there's a massive first mover advantage, I would say. If you're building an Ethereum dApp, you have to think about, do I compete in the Ethereum market where there's a lot of competition, where there's a lot of fights for TVL and users, or do I go to Botanix and Bitcoin, where you can be a massive first mover, where you can access the whole Bitcoin capital natively and basically, get that big first mover advantage. Then I would want to talk a little bit on how we actually inherit Bitcoin security on the second layer from the base layer. And it happens in a multitude of different ways. One of the big issues with a proof of stake on a layer 1 is what you call finality, and avoiding the long-range attack. And the long-range attack, for example, in Ethereum, happens through the Casper algorithm. And actually, when you build it on Bitcoin, we immediately get the finality or the probabilistic finality from Bitcoin. So by building it on Bitcoin and using Bitcoin as a checkpointing, we basically can avoid the long-range attack directly. So we don't have the issue of the finality in classical proof of stakes. A second big argument is the decentralization. When you think about a proof of stake, the security of a proof of stake is as secure as how decentralized the actual stakes are. Now, Bitcoin is the most decentralized asset. So we immediately leverage the current decentralization of Bitcoin. So longer term, very quickly, this proof of stake can be extremely decentralized. And then a second thing we inherit from the decentralization is more an economic argument. I think a lot of people in proof of stake have an economic argument against it, that it's actually a centralizing trend. What I mean by that is when you think about 100% of the asset, over time, more and more of the stake, of the total share of the asset, will accrue back to the stakers. So you have this little bit of a centralizing trend in proof of stake. However, in proof of work, you call that a leaking system, because the actual the miners have to pay for electricity, so that leaks value out of the system. And so proof of work over time has more that decentralization trend, which of course we inherit as well. And then the biggest, more technical aspect that we inherit is the VRF. So in any proof of stake, it's very hard to actually come up with a randomization function. And so the VRF is very hard. Now, at the same time, actually in Bitcoin, you spend 10 minutes of a huge amount of energy to come up with a random number. How Bitcoin miners actually do it, they test just a huge amount of random numbers. And on average, after 10 minutes, you find a random number that actually fits the Bitcoin SHA-256. And so after that 10 minutes, you're absolutely sure that the Bitcoin block hash is a random number. And so that's what we leverage for the VRF. So we inherit Bitcoin security in a number of different ways that makes the proof of stake way more secure. I think those are probably the most important aspects aspects of the Spiderchain, but I wanna double down on the comparison between the Spiderchain and rollups. When you think about rollups, it's a centralized party. You struggle with the censorship resistance, with liveness. You have a centralized sequencer. You have struggles for the upgradability, because longer term, if you have a smart contract that you can no longer change, what if there is a bug found? And all of these things are solved by the Spiderchain, where you actually have a consensus mechanism that basically allows anyone to run a full node. And so basically this separates it quite a bit of other layer 2s and other rollups, in the sense that this can be fully decentralized, like your eigenlayer. In essence, think about if you would secure an EVM with eigenlayer. That's a little bit what the Spiderchain is doing on Bitcoin. That's a little bit deeper into the technology. I think for here, it's probably very interesting to start thinking about what this actually enables and what this means for you guys. And let me jump a little bit more into the business side of things. I already mentioned it before, but if you are an Ethereum dApp and you want to catch a huge amount of value, the best way to do it right now is to build on Bitcoin. There's so much demand for it. There's $1 trillion waiting for you to use those applications, and Botanix now enables that. And we made it very easy to start building on Bitcoin by having that full EVM equivalence. So what I would also double down on is there's a massive first mover advantage in the whole of crypto. When you think about all the big DeFi dApps, all the big players, they all had a massive first mover advantage, and this whole thing will play out again on Bitcoin. So you want to be one of the first movers that really takes that big liquidity that becomes a big one in Bitcoin. Just to summarize here, there's a massive TVL waiting for you. There's a huge amount of users waiting for you. It becomes super easy to start deploying, and there's a massive first mover advantage here that's waiting to be grabbed by any of the players. And then if you're trying to think, okay, what should I actually build on Bitcoin? There's a lot of different things you can build. Of course, you can look at any of the Ethereum dApps, but I would recommend thinking for yourself, where is my strength as a founder in terms of all of the dApps. If you have a more traditional finance background, of course, DeFi makes the most sense because you have a lot of experience in that. If you're more on the experience in the social media type of angle, you can think about decentralized social or launching a social dApp on Bitcoin. If you're more into privacy, you could think about more like a Tornado Cash, for example. If you like more in terms of the gaming industry, you can start thinking about bringing that to Bitcoin. So if you're deciding on what to build in the hackathon, I would say think back what your strengths are as a founder, where you are good in, and build in that niche. And that's a little bit in general on the Spiderchain, why this is a game changer. And on what Botanix enables in terms of the EVM on Bitcoin.
Thanks a lot, Willem. No, that's actually super cool, borrowing the bigger pool of capital, the decentralization, the security, and unlocking a lot of innovation. In fact, if I think from a developer POV, I think the cooler part is, you can implement it on Bitcoin without any protocol changes to the base layer, sort of using it as a plug and play solution for Bitcoin. So, some Ethereum dApps which can benefit maybe more from the Bitcoin security or from the larger capital pool get their fair chance of also having access to Bitcoin. So yeah, I think that's super cool. What I would love now is that, I will take the hackers through the hackathon page. I'll give them a quick rundown of how to, enter in the hackathon as a hacker and then submit their bid.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet. Yes.
Perfect. So when you go on DoraHacks.io, all you have to do is go to the hackathon section, and in the carousel or in the first two rows, you'll be able to find SpiderHack. This is the hackathon that we're talking about, entering SpiderHack by Botanix, the first EVM hackathon on Bitcoin. The first thing, obviously, that you have to do is you have to log in as a hacker. While when you log in, you have certain options that you can choose from. You can log in from your GitHub, you can log in from your wallet, you can also simply do an email login. After that, you come to this hackathon page and you register as a hacker. By register as a hacker, you've sort of put a sort of heads up to the team that, hey, I will be submitting my build. Some hackathons do have like a certain registration period for which we allow you to register as a hackathon, and then you can maybe once you register as a hackathon, you can take your own sweet time to ideate on the project that you're about to build, to ideate more, to sort of refine the idea and then submit your build. After registering as a hacker, you can submit your build. Now, if you already have an existing build, that is, if you already have participated in several other hackathons on DoraHacks and you want to select a pre-existing build with some minor changes, you can also do that. These are some of the sample builds, just to, go by these name. In fact, take good time, your own sweet time to sort of name your build, because that gives the team and anyone viewing your build a gist of it. You will see the drop down over here, and if, like I said, if you want to choose from the pre-existing builds that you already have on the platform, you can do that. If not, which I assume in most cases is true, if not, you would ideally want to create a new build. For that, click on this link over here. This is create a new build, and this is all the information that you will be sort of required to enter to create your own build. This is the build name. Let's say this is again just an example. I will put the build name. I would put the build logo. For the build logo, I'll just sort of I'll just go with any picture that I have currently. Let's go with the screenshot that I have.
Yeah.
Describe the vision. The vision is pretty important because it sort of pops up after your build name, which is very important. Anyone, like I said, viewing your build should be able to get a gist of what you're trying to build with this thing. So over here, I'll just put ABC just as an example. This is the build description. In the build description, you can sort of dwell deep into what you're wanting to build, what your target audience is, what maybe more on the vision that you want to wear down. I'll fill this as, again, just a sample. The tech tree, you can sort of, if your project also touch the realms of AI or maybe, quantum computing, you can also select that from here. But for now, I think for this hackathon, crypto/Web3 would be the most accurate one. Category is what sort of what category are you building your project in? What type of project is it? Does it relate to tooling? Is it related to NFT? Is it DeFi, Metaverse, DAO, maybe cross-chain infrastructure? And from here, you can also select multiple options. If you feel that there is something else that describes your project better, feel free to also enter that. Select the infrastructure, the L1, L2 app chain that your project is deployed on. Let's say over here, put Ethereum. And again, feel free to select multiple options from here as well. This is the GitHub repo URL. Be very wary of some hackathons in terms of the submission requirement might mandatory need the GitHub repo URL. Some might not. So again, this depends on hackathon to hackathon that you are entering for. Put down your GitHub repo over here, a project demo. This can be your website, your app, your pitch deck, your white paper, anything. But ideally, it's very helpful for the hackathon organizer to scout through any of the links that you might have over here. Then demo video URL, if there are certain features of your project that you want to highlight, that you want to put it in a video form, that you want to specifically take more time and talk about. record like a Loom video of yourself doing so, and add it over here. This is team information. Obviously, solo hackers are also welcome. In fact, I've also seen a lot of projects building solo. But in case if you're building with a team, if you let's say are a group of 3-4 people, feel free to add all the information over here. This over here, you can also sort of emphasize on, is there any project that you've built prior to this hackathon, anything that you're working on currently, and so on. This will sort of allow you to invite your team members. You can add your team members' email ID over here. What this will also enable is it will also like sort of give them the rights to come onto your build and edit your build if in future you want them to be able to do that as well. These are social links. Put down your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever might be preferable for you. I'll just put in mine, for example, over here. This is your Telegram. Telegram is actually pretty important because this allows us to reach out to you in case there's any. If we want to invite you to a demo session, if we want to invite you to a Twitter space, etc. Even if in fact the Botanix team wants to reach out to you, super helpful. Then again, this is Discord, WhatsApp, WeChat, whatever that you might prefer. But I'll put in my Discord for now over here. This is a new feature that we've recently implemented, which is called team recruiting. Let's say if you are a group of backend developers, you're looking for someone to help you with your build for, let's say, a front end person. Put down this over here, click, sort of turn this feature on, and provide your team information, the relevant roles that you're hiring for, the experience that you ideally want, and so on. For now, I'll just, turn it off. Click this and just build, submit, and back. Now that I've created a build, I will be able to see it in the drop down. I will select it from here. The track, again, the track is, what SpiderHacks sort of encourages the builders to build in. It's DeFi, GameFi, NFT, infra, DAO, or let's say blockchain for social impact, etc. In my case, I'll just add DeFi, click on agree, and then submit hackathon application. That's all. You're all set. You have submitted your build successfully to SpiderHacks. This is, sort of how you do. This was just an example that I give. And just when you submit your build might not be visible on the build section because the organizer from the build, just to ensure, it's not spam, it's not, any like sample project created. So yeah, just be, patient of that, just be wary of that fact. Maybe come in a day later and check it. Come in when the submission window is over and then check if your build is there or not. This is the hackathon page in general. This is the place where you can have access to all the information about the hackathon, whatever it might be. It might be, more on Botanix. It might be some ideas that you're looking to build. For example, over here, you can see the team has listed DeFi, NFTs, GameFi, Bitcoin infrastructure, DAOs, social impact, and creative mode. And this is what to submit. This is also, I would say, very important for you to go through if you are considering applying to this hackathon, because this is the submission guidelines, which might be mandatory in some cases for you to be eligible to participate in the hackathon. Over here, the team, just says that the demo video could be up to 3 minutes long. The text description, which explains the feature and functionality of the submissions, are very important. Yeah, this is again, a link to the participants' website is also important and helps the judge to review your submissions. The method for testing, and again, a very important requirement is that all submission materials must be in English. It might include the demonstration video, text, testing instructions, etc. A very cool thing about this hackathon also is that any dev, if you have multiple ideas in your head, if you want to execute more than one idea that you've been thinking about, feel free to do that, because developers can also sort of submit multiple entries to this hackathon. And yeah, this is a bit of it. And this is again another disclosure which says projects submitted to other hackathons or challenges needs to be disclosed with submission. For example, I'll go back to the example when I was giving. If I already have a build I have entered with in another hackathon, I've submitted that another hackathon, I would need to sort of give a disclosure to the team that, hey, this is also a submission of any previous XYZ hackathon or a readme of the project. This is it. Again, very interesting, super exciting prize pool of $50,000. The first place would take away 25K, 10K, 5K, 5K, and three 5K prizes respectively. And yeah, this is the list of judges, the judging criteria, the community support, all the important links that you might need when you're sort of building. This could be the test net, the white paper, the developer documents, etc. This is a submission guide, just in case if you missed what I spoke about right now, you can also go over here and go through the step-by-step process of registering as a hacker and submitting your build. This is all the hackers. So, when I do register as a hacker, I would be visible over here. So over here, you can see my profile. If I unregister as a hacker from over here, my profile would be sort of gone from here. But yeah, this is the place where you can sort of, discuss your ideas with other hackers, get the team's feedback, and just, something for you to also put out what you're thinking in front of the community. And yeah, this is again, hackathon ideas that you can also look into in case you're really, eager to build in SpiderHacks and submit your project, but you're still lacking the idea, or you're still ideating upon what would be the correct project for you to build. Feel free to sort of take a look over here. I think this one is super interesting and super useful for driving innovation. Yeah, that was like a little description of how you would want to register as a hacker, submit, build. All other information that I actually spoke about is present on this page itself. Submission guide and details should be the two most important pages for you. I think that is it from my end today. Willem, if there's any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with the community, maybe some words of encouragement for the hackers, please feel free to take the stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Mishika. Yeah, definitely very excited to see what people come up with. This is, I think, a massive opportunity. I think in general, this should be a very interesting experience for a lot of people, like really building on Bitcoin and accessing that Bitcoin capital pool. In general, I think the criteria will judge for the prizes are on DoraHacks. I think generally also don't underestimate like go-to-market strategy on like community building, user experience. Like these are all very important aspects on when you really design a protocol or a dApp from the beginning. Like you really want to think from the beginning onwards, like how is the user experience going to work? How are we going to onboard users? How does this flow work in terms of like the tokenomics, etc.? Like these are important questions you wanna like have an answer to as well, besides the technical implementations. But yeah, very excited. I think this is a massive opportunity. We're happy to organize this, and yeah, also we're open here for any questions or collaboration. Yeah, I'm very excited. It will be a very interesting time and a huge opportunity. I think right before the new bull run, Bitcoin is about to break open. There's going to be a lot of big dApps, a lot of people waiting to use it. So really excited.
Likewise, Willem. Thank you so much. In fact, I was just curious about anyone building in the hackathon, and they might want to reach out to you for any help or anywhere that is stuck. What should be the best place to do that?
Yeah, I think there might be some contact details on DoraHacks. I'm not fully sure, but definitely we've got some people on the team like Lucas who's there to enable that and basically help anyone out with questions on all different aspects.
Yes, there is a Discord channel, a hackathon channel on Discord that you guys have dedicated for this. Which is also present on the hackathon page. So yeah, got it. That should be the best place for anyone to reach out to the team.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I just to sort of close this out, you do have 46 days for the hackathon. to ideate on a lot of things that you might be thinking on, any existing sort of EVM project that you might be working on, which could benefit from, what Spiderchain borrows from Bitcoin. Yeah, so I would love to wish everyone building this hackathon good luck, and yeah, keep building and breaking.
Absolutely. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks a lot for joining today.
Thank you.